The silence is a training ground, not a tomb. Keep praising, keep praying, keep expecting. The silence won't last forever, but what it produces in you will last a lifetime. God uses silence to build your faith, and when the quiet finally breaks, you'll see that every moment of waiting was worth it. Sometimes when life feels the heaviest, when the silence lingers and nothing seems to be shifting, that is actually the moment you are closest to your breakthrough. The enemy will try to convince you that nothing is happening, that your prayers are bouncing off the ceiling, that you've been forgotten. But what you cannot see is that God is aligning things in your favor, moving pieces behind the curtain, preparing a blessing that will suddenly show up. It is often darkest before the dawn, and the moment of greatest pressure comes right before the release. You may feel like giving up, but that's only because you are closer than you realize. Think about a woman in labor. For months, she has carried the child silently, unseen to the outside world. But when the contractions come, when the pain increases, it's not a sign that something is wrong. It's proof that new life is about to come forth. The pain is not permanent. It's a signal of the promise. And that's how it is in your life. The resistance you are feeling, the silence you are enduring, is not meant to destroy you. It is evidence that you are about to give birth to something bigger than you imagined. Maybe you've been believing for healing, restoration in your family, or a financial turnaround. You've prayed, you've trusted, and still the silence seems endless. But just because you don't hear the answer doesn't mean it isn't on the way. Sometimes God allows the silence to test your faith. Will you continue to trust Him even when nothing looks different? Will you hold on when everything in you wants to let go? That's the proving ground of faith. And if you can remain steadfast, you'll discover that the silence was not wasted. It was the place where God was strengthening you for what's coming. Joseph spent years in prison for a crime he didn't commit. It must have felt like God had forgotten him, like nothing was moving. But behind the scenes, God was preparing Pharaoh's dream, setting the stage for Joseph's promotion. And one day, Joseph went from the prison to the palace in a single moment. All those silent years suddenly made sense. What looked like a dead end was actually the pathway to destiny. And the same is true for you. You may feel like you're in a holding pattern, but at any moment, God can bring you out and set you in a place you never dreamed possible. Often, right before the breakthrough, the pressure intensifies. The enemy wants you to quit before you step into what God has for you. But if you refuse to give up, if you keep praising in the silence, keep standing in the waiting, keep believing in the dark, you will see the light break through. You're closer than you think. Don't let the silence deceive you. Don't let the delay discourage you. God hasn't brought you this far to leave you. He hasn't planted promises in your heart only to let them die. He's the God who finishes what He starts. So lift your head, strengthen your heart, and hold on a little longer. The silence is not forever. The pressure is not permanent. The waiting is not wasted. You are on the edge of a shift, a breakthrough, a blessing that will make sense of the silence. The season is about to turn, and when it does, you'll realize every tear, every prayer, every silent moment was working together for your good. You're closer than you realize, and what God has prepared is worth every moment of the wait. There are moments in life when it feels like nothing is moving forward, when prayers seem unanswered, and the silence feels louder than the promises of God. It's in those moments that doubt creeps in, telling you that nothing is happening, that your breakthrough is too far away, that maybe what you're believing for isn't going to come. But the truth is, silence is often the strongest sign that you are right on the edge of something great. What feels like stagnation is actually alignment. What seems like delay is divine preparation. You are closer than you realize to the blessing you've been waiting for. Think about a seed planted deep in the ground. For weeks or months, there is no visible change. On the surface, it seems like nothing is happening. But underground, the roots are growing, the structure is being formed, and the life within that seed is pressing toward the light. Just when it looks like it will never break through, suddenly a sprout appears. That little sprout is evidence that growth has been happening all along. In the same way, God has been working under the surface in your life. The silence doesn't mean the soil is empty. It means something powerful is being formed where you cannot see it. There's a reason the pressure has increased. There's a reason the resistance feels stronger. Just like a woman in labor, the greatest pain comes right before the delivery. The contractions are not a sign of death, they are proof of life. The discomfort means what you've been carrying in faith is about to be birthed. That's why the enemy tries hardest to get you to quit when you're on the edge of a breakthrough. If he can convince you that nothing is happening, he can stop you from stepping into what God has already prepared. But if you hold on, if you refuse to give up, you will see the promise come forth. Joseph sat in a prison cell for years for something he didn't do. I'm sure he wondered if the dreams God placed in his heart had died. But what he couldn't see was that Pharaoh was about to have a dream.